Okay. Hello, Facebook friends, enemies, cohorts, colleagues, combatants. I'm honored to be here. I'm Ed Strachar with HealingGenius.com and ReadingGenius.com, here with an incredible individual that I want you to meet. His name, Al Perhacs, from the Mind Force Method. Al is a master at using mental powers to do and demonstrate mental energy. Things like bending spoons, telekinesis, where you move things with your mind, and more. It's something that I think you really ought to listen. And when I had the opportunity to meet Al a couple months ago at a Joel Bauer seminar, and we both study with Joel Bauer, who's a brilliant coach for authors and entrepreneurs. We had a long, deep conversation. So, Al, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, great. I'll give the quick 5-minute story. So I started on this pathway as a martial artist that was doing external martial arts, primarily anything that was self-defense related. I really wasn't interested in sport karate, so it was more of the Jeet Kune Do, Kung Fu, Kempo, street fighting type of things. And then I was introduced to Indonesian martial arts and Filipino martial arts, Kali, Eskrima, Pencak Silat, Kuntao. And as I got involved in those arts, there were individuals that I met that were into the internal side of Pencak Silat or Kuntao. Mm-hmm. And as I got started in those, first I didn't really believe in any of that kind of thing, but I met some individuals that could actually externalize chi energy, and they could do dim mock striking, which is knockout points by touching you and causing you to choke without even touching you and things like that. And I was like, wow, that if this is real, I would want to learn that. And so I became
a boy growing up in the New York area.
Yeah, exactly. So that was what I just got immersed into it and started researching it from every aspect. Like, why is this energy? What is it? Is it real? And then I just started cross-referencing any kind of energy, whether it was from occult sciences to things that I read in the Bible or in other religious books. It was really understanding what is this energy all about, and how does that connect also with the mind and then the spirit.
So tell us about bending spoons and moving things with our mind. I mean, is it just party tricks, or is there a practical application to it?
Well, I call them parlor tricks because when I first got started, I really wanted to learn that kind of thing because it's real, right? You can actually see it. And so that's really one of the reasons why we teach that in the beginning, is so that people can see that they can externalize their energy and they can see some results. So for example, when I first started doing this type of training, there's a technique we teach, which is putting out a candle with your eyes or by externalizing the energy out of your fingers. And it's a very simple technique in the sense that it's not really mystical, other than the fact that you're externalizing your energy and you're really snuffing out the flame by taking the oxygen away from it. Because as you shoot this energy at it, it actually slowly dissipates the flame. So it's not knocking it out like you blow it out. Mm-hmm. It actually dissipates the flame because you're slowly cutting the oxygen off from the flame. And it took me really 60 days to learn how to do that. But I mean, every day for 60 days, I practiced the technique. And for 59 days or so, I got zero results. I mean, I was doing all my exercises, I was practicing, and in around the 60th day, I was able to put the candle flame out. And then I would get to the point where I would put a glass cover over top of it so that I could ensure that it wasn't breath or anything like that was snuffing the candle flame off. And then I would move it back further and do that. And then we would also do techniques with a straw, moving a straw. And we use two different types of breath, what we call a yang breath, which is repelling. And it sounds like this. And it just repels. And then the yin breath attracts, and it's a forceful inward breath. Mm-hmm. So I would move these objects. So anyway, that's like the basics. And then graduating from that is learning how to externalize the chi so that you could actually bend metal. And it's not bending metal like Uri Geller bending metal, like where you're looking at it. It's more like where you're taking it in your hands and you're making the metal pliable. So some of the people that I've trained were car mechanics and whatnot, and they would use it actually as they were, working on cars and stuff. But that was kind of the method, is that it's externalization of the energy. So you can feel it and you can work with it and things like that. So, but outside of that, there's probably not that much relevance to those types of techniques, other than it shows you what can be, I guess.
Yes, and you mentioned Uri Geller.
Mhm.
He could bend spoons at a distance. They'd put a
Mhm.
spoon somewhere. And the Stanford Research Institute tested him, and they wanted to see if they could bound energy. And so they put him in an airtight, watertight,
Mhm.
soundproof chamber, and they put the spoon outside, and he still bent it.
Yeah.
And the reality is a fundamental principle in the universe. Energy has no boundaries.
Right.
You make things waterproof, you make things airtight, soundproof, but you cannot bound energy. And that's really important to know. Now, you mentioned these things with your mind. I remember when I had visited the Philippines, I'd visited a healer. He was a 15, 16-year-old boy, but he was quite famous in the Philippines. And this is before I became a healer. And I was very intrigued by this story because he could heal at birth. And his mother would say that as a little boy, he used to play tricks and could have different color lights coming out of his fingers. And then he could connect the light to, say, a pen and move the pen from one part of the room to the other just by moving his finger, and the
Mhm.
thing would be across the room. Is that like what you do, or an extension of what you do?
It really depends. Like, from my perspective, I did it from that beginning standpoint to get the ability to learn how to do those small types of things. But I've trained people that have wanted to move larger objects. Probably the largest. Like, I had a kid. The kids are the
Mhm.
easiest for me to train. Like, I had a lot of kids that were like 10 or 12 years old that could like move a pop bottle around, or they could move, even like nudge a Coke can. What's really one that I would get people to practice, like these little Nerf balls, is you can
Mhm.
fill them up with energy because they're really porous and you can get them to move. And I would keep one on my desk when I was in corporate America, and I would just, build up my energy and just nudge it a little bit. And sometimes it would even shoot off the desk. So yeah, you can use that for that. But
All right. So now that is quite phenomenal for me
right,
to shoot even a Nerf ball
right,
off the desk. What are
right.
you actually doing? Are you concentrating? Are you visualizing the Nerf ball moving? What actually are you doing, in a nutshell, of course?
There's a couple things. Number one thing, I'm taking my energy and I'm externalizing it so that I can feel it. And I'm gonna, depending upon the size of the object, I'm either gonna do a wide band of energy or really precise, like a laser beam, right? And
Okay.
usually the laser beam is more focused and it usually works better. But sometimes you can get it to move, a small object like that. And I wouldn't say
Mhm.
that I could do that every single time that I did it. The concentration has to be there, the focus, and then the belief factor. The belief factor is the biggest thing, is believing that you could actually move it. So it's the mental belief factor that you could move the object. That's why we start with the really
Belief
small
is
type of,
just the valve that opens up the doorways,
right,
and if you
right,
don't have that, nothing happens.
right.
Let me pause for a second. Let's say
Sure.
hello. Beautiful Peggy Larson in Canada. Hi there, April Redbird. Nice to see you. Colleen Holland from Australia. We got Josh Cameron, who's in Utah, I believe. Karen Goldingham, one of my great healing students, a brilliant healer in New Zealand. Nice to see you all. Leslie Worthington. Hello, Leslie. Helen Nauschutz. Nice to meet you too. Got any questions? Oh, she's here with Blake Chen. Hello, Blake. Um, Feel free to pop any questions into the text chat as we continue. So now, Al, you mentioned belief. Yes,
Mhm.
we know belief is kind of that valve. And yet we see many charlatans, many tricksters, magicians, and now with Facebook and these quick little videos, lots of people showing how these incredible magic tricks are done, and
Yeah.
I'm so glad to finally understand, because
Right.
sometimes they seem impossible.
Yeah.
Hello, Joe Magnan. Kareem Saab, nice to see you here. Bonnie Nicholson from Harbor City, California. Wonderful. Sydney Murphy, hello there. Catherine Singer from Jacksonville, Florida. Hi, Catherine. Mel
Dude,
Grandel.
I stopped doing those techniques though, Ed, because when I started doing techniques like that, people would freak out, even though they're so small and insignificant. They would say, you must be possessed or you must have something wrong with you that you're doing that. That's not right. And so after I started doing it, would show people, and number one, people wouldn't believe it. They would think it was a trick. So I remember showing guys in my office one day that I could move the straw, put out the candle. And when I told them that it was chi energy, they didn't believe it. They were like, "You're so full of it, that there's no such thing." But the minute I said to them, "Hey, you know what, guys, I'm just busting your chops. It's a trick. I'm not going to show you. I'm not going to tell you what the trick is, but it's a trick. It's not real chi energy."
Right.
They were like, "Oh, we knew it, Perhacs, that you were just messing with us." But it just goes to show you the mindset of some people,
Yeah, sure. Sure. Well, Richard Bandler, one of my great teachers, a co-founder of neurolinguistic programming. I studied with him 30 years ago in San Francisco, and I just went to see him again today. And two of his managers, John and Kathy Laval, let me in. Thank you, John and Kathy. And he tells a story about how he went into a classroom and he had quote unquote learning disabled. And he did some mental techniques, neurolinguistic programming, and the kids could start spelling and do math, after one session. And literally that teacher then called Richard into the principal's office and gave him a Bible. And he's like, "What's that for?" He goes, "The only way you could be doing that is if you have the power of Satan behind you."
Yeah.
And people need to understand. And this is how I clean my list, Al, to get high consciousness people who are interested in high truth rather than lower dogma.
Yeah.
The word religion comes from the Latin word religare, which means to limit, to inhibit, to block. Religare, it comes from that Latin word. And religion is designed to keep you stupid. So anyway, he tells this story. So the mass majority, whether they are religious or not, they're influenced by the dominant religion, which in America certainly is Christianity. And they're led to think that this stuff is paranormal and it's evil. And, we see movies, The Omen and things like this, where stuff like this happens, The Exorcist and Poltergeist. But yet it's really concentrated energy of the mind. Right. And as you mentioned, it took you 60 days, you said. So you're building this up just like
building it up. Yeah.
Wow.
I was building it. I would just a quick comment on what you just said, though, is one of the guys that I trained with, probably going back 20 years. I remember first time that we got together, I said, why did you want to do this kind of training? And he lived down in Texas, and he lived in this strange town in Texas. And he said he went to a house party one time, and there was a guy that was at the table that was moving objects. And he said, "I would like to learn how to do that." And that guy did say, "Listen, if you become a part of our, Satanist group, I'll show you exactly how you can do that." Right. So it definitely is a double-edged sword, right? It could be done many different ways. And of course, this colleague of mine was like, "No, I don't want to sell my soul just to be able to move an ashtray or something like that."
Smart move. And that's why they call it the occult being hidden. They take an oath of death to learn that. And now with Healing Genius, remove a lot of these spells and hexes and curses that can really debilitate people. So now, Al, I want to ask you, how could you use this to enhance your life, your career, your business, your family, your love life? And with that, we have a question. Hi, Nancy London from California. Jim Zacharias, Scottsdale. Hello there, Betty Ann Raymond. Scott McPhillip, Don Pacula. Nice to see you, Don. April Redbird says, "I'm curious about electrical disturbances. Sometimes experience lights flickering or going out, computer phones or tablets breaking when she gets emotional." Do you have any insights into that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, your energy is always vibrating out, and everybody has a certain level of energy. Some have a higher level of energy. I explain it this way. It's really like you look at some people are stronger than others. Others are
Mhm.
faster. Everyone has a natural talent. Some people are artists and they can just pick up a piece of paper and draw a beautiful picture, or sing, or whatever their talent is. And the same thing's true with the energy. Just like you were mentioning the kid with the colors coming out of his fingers. He was an ultra talented person with energy, right? And there are a lot of people. So everyone has this various energy. And I've had people call me over the years. I've been doing this for almost 30 years studying it, and over 20 years, actually teaching and doing courses. And I've had people that say, I do these techniques, but I don't know how I'm doing them. And I don't know how to get better at it. And it's just confusing me. Right. So your energy is always like expanding,
Right.
and getting, thicker. And depending on how you train your mind will depend how that energy serves you. Going back to your question about how does this really serve you in life? Well, over the years, Ed, I started out obviously doing the dim mak striking to kill people, and then
Mhm.
the energy to move objects, right?
You're not a killer, but you to defend
Right,
yourself.
right,
Some people think
exactly,
that's wrong. I mean, I grew up in the metro New York
right,
area. There are bullies, there's gangsters,
right,
there's muggers. You got
yeah,
to learn to defend yourself. And if that's offensive to anyone, then this is the wrong conversation for you.
yeah.
Because growing up in that environment, just like an animal in the jungle, you better learn defense.
That's right, exactly. And then, so I was learning the energy, and then I was doing meditations, part of that energy. And then as I was doing the meditation and I was doing guided meditations, I started thinking to myself that this is empowering my mind. And it's interesting. I was at a sales seminar back in probably, anyway, so somewhere in the late 90s, and they mentioned NLP as part of the sales training. And I
Right.
remember NLP from Tony Robbins, and I said I got to look into that more. And I got into NLP and understood hypnosis, and so I got into the hypnotic influence as a byproduct of that, and just started really getting into that. I mean, immersed myself into hypnotic influence and
And by the way,
understanding that.
let me just caution here. A lot of people thinking, oh, he's a hypnotist. I'm going to hypnotize. You're hypnotized 20, 30 times a day.
Yeah, exactly.
You, every time, the reason why those Coke commercials are designed, they're not designed for the logical mind. They're
Right.
designed to hypnotize you and implant their brand into you. And every time you get thirsty, they show people drinking that bottle of Coke and
That's
smiling,
right.
playing a nice music. That's hypnosis. Okay.
That's right.
As is the movies when you're watching, Freddie chased a girl down the street in a horror movie, and whatever it may be. That's all hypnosis. And when the teacher says you're stupid,
That's right.
that's hypnosis too, because you
That's right.
go into quote unquote a mini trance, and then she says you're stupid, and it goes right in, and that puts a complex on someone's life for a long time. So understanding how the mind works is understanding hypnosis. There's nothing bad about it. You really need to understand how this mind works. And so if you want to be a great teacher, you got to hypnotize them to love math or love reading or love,
That's right.
love what it is they're learning. And most teachers aren't very good at that, to be honest. Continue.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So, so I'm sorry.
let's just greet some beautiful souls.
Okay,
here.
go right ahead. Absolutely.
So we got Kevin Greasy from California. Nice to meet you, Kevin. Daniel Weber from Gowanda. I think that's around Rochester. Betty Ann Raymond, question. Had the opinion religion is man's attempt to define the undefinable. Oh, it's worse than that. It's keeping the sheep corral. That's why they say the Lord is my shepherd. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah. And look, I love Jesus as much as everybody. And what they tell you, I'm just going to tell you, what they tell you about Jesus is not the truth. If somebody really knows Jesus, they can heal, and they can heal at a distance. And when you know what I do, I heal at a distance. Then you understand it. And I couldn't understand why no nuns, priests, pastors, or biblical zealots could ever heal. They could talk about it loudly, but could they really heal? Less than 0.001%. So energy doesn't lie. That's the brilliant thing. People can deceive, they can lie, they can misrepresent, but energy doesn't lie. And so, if it's okay with you, Al, I'm going to give you a chance to explain what is on the tip of your tongue, and then we'll do an energy exercise here for the benefit of the whole group. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So continue.
So started out with the energy, went to the meditation, hypnotic influence, and then as I'm building up my energy and getting into the meditation, my psychic channels are opening up, so that I'm becoming more sensitive and aware to what's going on around me. You know, seeing things out of the roots of my eyes, seeing movement in the rooms, different experiences with entities that you could, you know, see in the dark sometimes. And so my thing is evolving as I'm going through this whole process. And then I'm realizing, hey, if I can take this energy and I could have a good mental attitude, I could create abundance, manifestation, and assist people that way. So to answer your question, is that's how I got to the evolution of assisting people and coaching people, is that understanding that this energy is universal, and that it's really how that energy is interpreted. We could take that energy and use it to help people and to help them out of the situation that they're in, or we could use it to harm them. I mean, I know techniques that, yeah, very evil. We could get really evil with the stuff if we, you know.
Now, here's where Al and I contrast, and I mean really contrast. And I was so excited to get him on to this show because he works at different dimensions than I do. So we were naturally intrigued by each other's skills. And Al, is it okay if I share with them some of the private conversations you and I had in the lobby in LA?
Sure. Yeah.
And you just kind of hinted here, you mentioned entity. You mentioned seeing dark forces. Now, I used to have those haunting me, chasing me, staring down at me. You couldn't see them physically, but I could feel them, and I didn't know what to do. But everything I was trying was not working and getting blocked, and I could feel it. And this is where, for me personally, it brought me to the brink of suicide or figuring out how to beat these guys. And obviously, I'm still here, so I chose the latter. So you had shared that there were these, I'll call it negative forces. And let me just share with the audience here. I mean, we have an infinite universe or infinite dimensions. We live in 3 dimensions. And if you want to say 4th dimension, you could call time a dimension. The 4th dimension is often called the astral plane. That's where we dream. Most healers are working with energies on the 4th, and the better ones are working at the 5th dimension. The occult works at the 6th, 7th through the 11th dimension. Very important to understand this. So if you think of a building with, say, 20 stories, the second story can see the first story, but the first story looking out cannot see above. All right, unless you look up, we're not going to be looking up. So understand the analogy. So people, healers operating at the 4th and 5th dimension, the Reiki healers and so forth, they're there, but they can't see the occult. I just had someone saying, well, I'm a healer and I can't see these dark forces on me. And I said, I see them plain as day. And she's having a lot of problems and challenges. And I said, you've got these dark forces on you. Well, they're at the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th dimension. She can't see them because she's operating at the 4th and 5th dimension. And that's where you going into this mind power, going into higher dimensions. And yet the dimension of the soul begins at the 12th dimension. And you cannot get there unless you come with this offensive 4-letter word called love, which is why the occult cannot get there. And so I operate at the 12th dimension and above. This is why I can restore souls and I can remove that darkness because I'm operating at an energy and a power above where they're at. And with that, and I don't want to mention his name, but he's watching now. He was telling me in a consultation that literally as I was talking to him, and I saw some dark forces on him, that I'll just say a symbol of witchcraft, a little statue that he had from a movie that he didn't see as a symbol of witchcraft, but I knew it was, fell for no reason while I'm talking to him. And he said, whoa, that didn't happen. That never happened. And there was no wind in the room. And I said, yeah, they see me coming. They know I've got the energy to remove them. And they want to dissuade. And my great healer, Karen Goldingham, who's on here, she put it so bluntly, when the dark side sees higher powered love, life, and light, they do anything to dissuade their prey from going near them because they know we'll remove their influences. And Al, 95% of the people who come to me are sick or something's wrong or not working out, or there are lots of conflicts in life, or, anxiety, depression, any of them have heavy dark forces on them. All right. That's just the reality. So if you want, and I know you told me some fascinating stories involving some of your family members and whatever, but this gets really interesting. And then we're going to do an energy exercise to clear and raise the levels of love, life, and light to all those who stay on and watch. Share, Al, please.
Yeah. So my grandmother's Russian, and she was always doing things like, for instance, if she says, "Hey, is somebody bothering you at school?" and she would have this special ritual that she would put me and my brother through to stop people from harassing us at school. Or she would always say, "Hey, if anybody ever touches you inappropriately, you let me know and I'll take care of them." And she would go and she would do her little thing. That was what her mother taught her from Russia. And so growing up, even though that was like natural to me because my grandmother did these things all the time, so I didn't see it as different because I was just grew up with it. And as I became more and more open with the energy, I did feel these spiritual entities and things that are around. And what Ed ghosts, oh yeah, ghosts, entities. Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I say see them, they're not like full blaze on. It's like they're passing, the things that go bump in the night. So I can't say. Sometimes I would have something that would come directly in my face. And the interesting part is that I think 3 of my kids are very intuitive. My oldest son, my 2 daughters, and they see those things. So when we lived in one house, there was an older gentleman that was in the house, a ghost, and there was also a dog. And my kids and myself, we all saw the dog and the old man, from time to time. But again, glimpses. It's not like.
And you don't sound spooked. Like, that sounds pretty spooky to a lot of people. And I've been in houses that have had these. And in all my cases, they were kind of like it was the previous owner and he was an old man and he died and he was a nice guy. So you still feel he's a nice guy, but his spirit is still there.
Right.
Is that the case with you?
And that's the way I train my kids too, to not fear it, to just realize it's another spectrum of existence. And that when you see things like that, feel it, experience it, that's what it is. Because I've been doing this for so long, my kids were young enough that I could teach them as they got older about that. In fact, my son who lives in Florida, was just calling me the other day, telling me about some of the things that he's been experiencing where he lives. He lives in an area that's kind of has a lot of evil in it. And he's like, "Dad, I don't know if I can continue living down here because of the evil that I feel." And he's just very intuitive and aware and sensitive to that type of thing. And it's really starting to bother him.
You got to have him start doing self-healing mastery.
Yeah.
And Scott McPhillips asking a question here. How does one protect oneself from having things attached to them? Scott, if I didn't know that, I'd be 6 feet under right now. I'll just tell you. So I discovered that, and that's what I teach. And we can do an exercise where we can raise our energy and perhaps remove them. It depends on your discipline and the power. And this is, when I say the power, some people say, "Oh, he's egotistical, all about power." Power is everything. I'm an electronics engineer. Okay, so when someone tells me they're an energy healer, okay, any energy, the amount of energy you have is called power. So, you have light. Well, was that a 0.01 watt light bulb, like a pen light? Is it a 10 watt light bulb, or is it 10,000 watts like they light stadiums? Well, there's a big difference between the power level, just like money is a form of energy. Well, you have a 25 cents or 25 billion. I mean, big difference. So when it comes to healing and energy, I couldn't understand when I had my troubles, and I went to 20 plus healers, and they all sounded good. Wow, love, rainbows, and all this crap. And the next day I was the same place, if not worse, until I met one very special man. So the reality is power is everything. And when it comes to energy, it's not power like a punch, like physical power, but it's higher dimensional, higher vibrational power that can remove heavy, lower darkness. So Scott McPhillips and the rest of you, that's what's required to do so. And Al, when your son learns this, if he chooses to, and it's a choice, you could walk through a room full of sorcerers, witches, and warlocks, and they could be doing all their rituals and sorcery and curses on you. And you just smile. Wouldn't affect you. And so this is what's possible when you learn how to connect to higher dimensions of energy. And that's what we do in Self-Healing Mastery and Self-Healing Mastery Plus, which is our live monthly sessions, which you've been on. Mm-hmm. What did you learn when you were in those sessions with me? And we're going to do a mini session here and just a mini exercise. I won't even call it a session. What did you realize and experience when you saw those, when you did those?
Yeah, one of the things that you really impressed upon me is the fact that even though I'm aware of a lot of these spirits, there's a lot of things I'm not aware of because I can't see some of the things, like, let's say, that you can see and say, hey, this is what you have on you. And so that's one concept. And then the other concept was that you have to continually be removing them. And you use the expression that it's like brushing your teeth. If you don't, you don't just brush your teeth once a year, you have to continually clean your teeth, your body, and everything like that. And that was like a trigger that said, you know what, that is like the light going off, because that's exactly what I was ignoring. And it's so important. I see so much the value of that now. That was like the biggest thing. And then the alignment that you teach, which is really good. And the heart, the love in the heart, which I really appreciate, because I've been teaching euphoric and blissful energy for over 20 years. And I realized that if you build the energy in a certain way, you're going to get results with that expectation. And if you build it we call it yin and yang. Yang is more coarse and hardcore, and yin is more relaxed, calming, and that kind of thing. And when you mentioned those concepts, it was just phenomenal to hear that, because you learn things all the time, but sometimes you don't understand them as much as you should until somebody else shines the light on you and says, hey, this is really what that means, right? And those are some of the things I really learned from you, and I appreciate it.
Right. And so when I met Al in a lobby in LA at a hotel at an event, and I've got, some would call a gift, some would call a liability, but I just am blunt and direct, and I cannot withhold it. I can withhold the truth, but I don't like to. The ugly truth is better than a pretty lie. And so I don't get invited to a lot of Christmas parties because they tell the truth about Jesus and religion. Okay. Well, that's okay, because I don't want to sit there with a bunch of brainwashed people either, celebrating lies. Same with Thanksgiving. But anyway, I told Al, and do you remember, I looked in your eyes, the eyes are the windows of the soul. I said, you got curses on you. Mm-hmm. You remember that? I do. He was like, well, I don't know. I seem to be okay and pretty fine. And I said, just wait till I remove them. So then Al decided to take Self-Healing Mastery and do Self-Healing Mastery Plus. And the Self-Healing Mastery Plus is a live session. Self-Healing Mastery is the online sessions where you learn. And then we remove the curses. And if you remember, we were chatting for 10 minutes on Facebook. What did you feel? Share with the audience what your experience was then.
Yeah, it's a difference between feeling super heavy and bogged down and then super light, right? It's like you're lightening the spirit or the soul, because you're removing all this gunk and garbage that's attached to it based on these things coming at you, based on either current situations or even the past, which is really interesting. That was something that in my studies I've really never understood or recognized, is that past curse that could be on you from many, many generations.
Yes. And see, here's what people don't realize. Think of it like a mosquito. You can barely feel a mosquito. Most people can't. Okay. And then it sucks on your energy just like a curse. So it gets gradually heavier and heavier and heavier, but it's so gradual that you don't feel it. You don't notice it. You just notice you're kind of down, you're low energy, a little depressed, you know, and it gets worse and worse. And if you go see, quote unquote, the experts in the big white coats, the legal drug dealers, you know, what do? They give you drugs. That doesn't solve anything, doesn't remove anything. And so this is what happened, folks. So I removed that. Al's vibrating, and I told him his vibrational rate. We were, you know, close to 10,000, if I recall, and he could just feel his energy. And I was having him do the exercises again and again, better and better. That's what I do. That's what coaches do. So he feels it. He now understands what he's been missing. He's reached these higher dimensions of energy. And then him and I don't talk for a couple of weeks. And I have the ability, because I'm soul connected with my clients, even though many of them I haven't met in person, we connect at the soul. So they're really almost like family. And so I see Al, you know, through Facebook Messenger. I see him online. And I see his vibrations are really mundane and low again. And I was like, Al, your vibrations are very sedentary. And, you know, you were blazing high just a couple weeks ago. And he said, I don't know. I did my exercises last Friday, and I think this was a Monday.
Yeah.
And I said, Al, what would I tell you? What would you think if I said, well, I brushed my teeth on Friday, and it was a Monday, and I said, I don't understand why my breath is smelling. You know, he said, what if you said, well, I showered on Friday? I said, you got to clean your energy often. And you had watched TV and a bunch of things, and you went to, I think, your daughter's party or something like that, your wedding. Yep. You had a few, you know, not that a few drinks is bad, but you had all these things that would affect your energy. Right. And then his energy went right back down. And then I showed you how to get back up, right? And you learn that. And that's what's key. It's not that you can't get dirty. It's that if you're going to play in the mud, you got to clean up after. No exception. You remember that?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's really probably one of the things that have impressed me the most is that understanding, because it makes so much sense to me. It should make sense to everyone on this session to understand that you've got to renew that energy. You've got to reconnect, because if you don't do that, these things are going to potentially come back and visit you based on, like I was saying, things as simple as TV, radio, listen to certain songs, listening to television shows, reading particular books. If you go online, it could be pornography. It could be anything that you run into that is going to cause that disturbance, or even being angry, right, at your spouse or your friend or something, because they then come in at you.
In summary, they're called negative energy windows. And one of the most normal negative energy windows, which I see in just about every hotel lobby or medical lobby, is the news. And they call it news programming for a reason. You would think, okay, a horror movie's obvious. The news is worse because it's deception with a straight face pretending to be truth. Whereas a horror movie, you know, it's a horror movie. You know, they're designed, it's designed to scare you. I mean, it's clear. The news is very deceptive in that. And I was just living in Ukraine for 2 years. And I lived in Russia for 2 years too. And I'll never forget when I was living in Russia and I was staying in a Marriott hotel in Moscow, which had CNN, which back then most Russian TVs would not carry CNN, but the Marriott did. And so I'm watching this financial crisis on CNN, and it's just showing Moscow up in a roar, total chaos, financial crisis, bedlam on the streets. And I walk out the lobby, and it's like normal as normal. Everything's peaceful. I'm walking by 7 banks looking if there's, you know, riots or and just the exchange rates changed. The ruble plunged. But if I had watched CNN, like most Americans think, yeah, I would have been deceived just like they were. And no difference with Ukraine and the Ukrainian war now with Russia. So look, we'll do an exercise if the audience wants it. I'm not going to force anything on them. And it's fully participatory. This is not where someone does something for you and you just sit there eating your cheese doodles and watching, you know, Jerry Springer reruns. No, we have got to... we have got to get into a state of peace. There's full participation, and you have to take ultimate responsibility for this. So if you're driving, I wouldn't do this nor operating anything that could potentially be dangerous, because I do recommend, if you can, to close your eyes on this. So I need to see at least 30 yeses in the text chat, right? Sign on, tell us you want to do this higher energy exercise. April Redbird's asking, is it common to have curses? I wouldn't say it's common, but it's not uncommon. And April, well, I can say this. Joel Bauer, where April and I know, and Al, you and I study with him, brilliant guy. He gave a seminar in Las Vegas last year, and he did a public testimonial on this. I'm not revealing anything private. After the seminar, he went into the hospital for exhaustion. He couldn't get out of bed. And they did every test under the book, and they couldn't find anything. And as he tells me, $130,000 in hospital bills built up. Well, I'm in Ukraine, and his wife, Cheryl, messages me and says, she goes, I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner, but I should have contacted you. Joel's in the hospital, blah, blah, blah. And I tune in and I see he's got witchcraft on him. Okay. So we rise to a higher dimension. With witchcraft is 8th, 9th, 10th dimension. We rise to a higher dimension and remove it. And then once we remove the darkness, which if you have the power to do it, you do it. And any of my students have that power. Then the key is we restore the soul. So think of a flat tire. We put air back in the tire. We restore the soul. We energize the soul. And this energizes the organs. This energizes our immune system. And then the healing comes from within, but it's from that energy that we energize. And I'm gifted with, not from birth at all, but I connected and now have the ability to restore that soul energy, which is something very few people can do, at the risk of sounding arrogant, but owing you the highest truth. So, okay, we got Cindy Murphy here, Diana Sanzone. Hello there, beautiful Brunilda, Dr. Brunilda, dentist from Toronto, Michelle Gilstrap, Chris De La Cruz. All right, Poe Stewart. Hi there, Poe. Norma. All right, so here's what we're going to do, Al. And you've done this before. Many here have done it before, but even though you've done it before, you do it and you go to an extreme. I tell people want new information. I say, wait a minute. If you watch a basketball game, you watch fourth graders play. They're dribbling, passing, and shooting. You watch the best in the NBA All-Stars. They're dribbling, passing, and shooting. They're not playing a different game. They're just doing it better. They're doing it much better. So this is the point. It's not about new exercise. It's about doing it better. Okay, so now on a count of 5, we're going to breathe in, and I want you to hold it and feel 5 heartbeats, not by putting your hand on your chest, but just getting still and quiet enough, because we want the mind to become empty. Stillness is a powerful concept that's demonstrated and taught by all the masters, many of the religions and so forth, this stillness. And then I'm going to ask you to feel your love, and we'll do a couple exercises after that. I'll play some licensed music from Dr. Stephen Halpern, who's a world-class musician and a friend of mine, and music that I licensed from him. So with that, we've got a bunch of yeses. On 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Breathe in. Okay, so many of you are trying to expect and think what's going to happen, and that's actually blocking you. Let the mind go and go 0. Go empty. Group mind is on 3%. That's not bad. It's certainly not 0. Allow yourself to get still, empty, and feel your love. Love is what heals. Love is what you're seeking, and it's inside you. Feel it. like a little golden ball about the size of a golf ball right in the center of your chest. And all the people, places, things that you love are there. Feel it. And when I say feel, I mean feel, not think. Now, listen to me with your heart. Not with your head, not with your mind, but listen to me with your heart so you can completely alleviate your mind from all responsibility, just for a few minutes. And using your heart, which is the center of your energy body, expand that golf ball to a tennis ball size ball of love. The bigger it gets, the stronger it gets. Blade chin, that's 40% effort. Average group effort's 50%. Let's go to 150%. Turn it on. This is love. You can't get hurt here. There you go. And then go 350%. There's simply no limit. You're connected to infinite love. Now, expand that ball to the size of a basketball. Bigger it gets, the stronger it gets. And a ball around you. A ball around your town. A ball around planet Earth, emanating from you. Empty. From 350%, 10x, 3,500%. Go for it. Now, as if we're holding hands, palm to palm, like a big circle at a picnic. Send that love directed out your right hand and receive with your left. Feel it. At 3,500%. Go for it. Empty. Betty Ann Raymond, mind on 5%. You're blocking yourself. Belinda Motton, great stillness. Chris De La Cruz, great stillness. April Redbird, mind on 2%. No need to block yourself, dear. Now, even more powerful is connect this ball of energy in your heart to the metaphorical center of the universe, right through the top of your head. Feel it. And as if there was a center point in the universe, connect to it. Don't try to do this with your head. Don't try to think it. Your soul knows exactly what to do. Just do it. And in the other direction, connect to the heart and soul of Mother Earth. And feel her. She's a living being. Divine, maternal, earthly energy, female. Divine, paternal, fatherly, cosmic energy. You need both. Connect to both. Send love to the universe and Mother Earth, enhancing that connection and connecting you to infinite power, infinite wisdom. And if you want, direct that energy into any hurting body part and see and feel that hurting body part healed. Now, this is a challenge in a short exercise because probably most people are saying, oh, my knee's killing me. And they get programmed and they create a literal fixed hologram in their body saying, my knee's killing me. My knee hurts. I got knee problems. And that's your creation. And I'm not saying your knee doesn't hurt. I'm just saying it like that is not the most effective way to heal it. So you send love to your knee, you illuminate it with love, and you say, I love my knee and I appreciate it. And ask it to heal vibrationally. And whether it's your knee or another body part, substitute whatever it is in. And let it heal. See and feel it healed. But yet keep your mind empty and still and do this from your heart. And whatever that body part is, just know that there's an ideal replica of that body part up in the universe energetically. So if it's knee, an ideal liver, ideal gallbladder, stomach, ankle, whatever it is. And let the two connect. And with that, transform any disbelief, lack of belief, any drama or trauma. Literally let that transform into love and health. Because everything is energy and all energy can be transformed. So transform your disbelief. You're blocking yourself. Transform that into self-love, health, and see and feel that area healed. And continue to send love out your right hand and receive with your left, enabling, connecting with all these beautiful souls around the planet. And I do thank Facebook, because that's how most of us have connected. So say what you want about Facebook, but we connected through Facebook. Thank you. Gratitude opens the heart and lets love flow. Okay, so when I count to 5, we're going to slowly open our eyes, stay still, have some water, and just do a quick little stretch. 1, 2, 3, 4, and okay. So now, as you stretch, go ahead and put in the text chat what you experienced in as much detail as you can, 2 or 3 lines, no big long stories, but not one word either. Better. No. Elaborate so that we understand. And if you want to measure it and say, well, my knee on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is best, was a 3, and now it's a 5, or whatever that may be. Go ahead and put these into the text chat. And so some people are asking questions. Do we have to face east? No, you don't, unless you believe you do. If you believe you do, then you do. But the answer is no. Some exercises you do have to face east. This one you don't. John Hall, can this help the immune to viruses such as? Absolutely. Absolutely, John. Keeping your energy high, keeping your immune system high helps with any kind of illness. And if you notice, a lot of people that never get sick, their energy is high. And they probably eat well, but they keep their energy high. Simple as that. And I can tell you, like the 2 or 3 times that I've been sick in the last few years, always was preceded by some kind of temper tantrum. And I'm Italian from New York. I can fly off the handle. And that just lowers my energy dramatically. Dramatically. So, yeah, Cindy Francis, tingles energy coming into one palm and going out the other. How many felt the energy going around the circle? Did you feel that, Al?
Oh, yeah. Feel it a
Yeah.
lot. Very
Yeah.
thick.
So, Ann Mingo felt calm and peaceful, and that's a great step. This is a quick public session. You probably don't know me or haven't worked with me, but even if you did, this is a quick public session. So, don't expect to look 20 years younger. That would be a disappointment and a false expectation. And while you did that, Ann, your mind was on 3%. So you're somewhat blocking yourself, thinking, wondering, am I feeling better? And that the best of us can do that and get caught in that trap. And that blocks us. Krista La Cruz, beautiful hair cutter from Alaska. Energy was a 6, now a 10. Wonderful. Ferlicious Ong, who I like to call Poker Face because she's Asian. She keeps his poker face. Felt energized. Wonderful to see you again, Ferlicious. Peggy Larson from Canada. And Felicious is in LA. Peggy Larson, lighter and brighter. Catherine Singer, calm, peace, love, warmth, hip feels better. Beautiful. Great work, Catherine. Now, when Catherine did that, she was still. So, Anne, lesson for you there. Catherine was still. And sometimes when we have energy blockages, energy doesn't flow that much. That means you need more work. That's why I created healinggenius.com, and we've got courses like Self-Healing Mastery and others to help people unblock. And of course, I do private sessions to help people unblock because nobody can see themselves. Chris, the hairstylist in Alaska, I'm sure she doesn't cut her own hair. No one sees themselves. No hair cutter cuts their own hair. However, if you notice, Al and I got the same hairstyle. Okay, we go to the same image consultant.
Exactly.
Yeah, Bonnie Nicholson, heart chakra, palm chakra is activated, usually for me working energy, so I could feel the energy there. Thank you for sharing, Bonnie. Leslie Worthington, totally felt the energy flowing. Stomach felt so much better. So now, if you see these people reading this and you didn't, don't feel bad. That just means you were blocked up or thinking in some way. That's all. The energy was there. Okay, it's kind of like if we have a big water fight and you happen to be wearing a raincoat, you're not going to get wet. Okay, but the water's there, right? So same idea. Nancy London had a little headache. Yay, went away. Nice hearing from you, Nancy. Lungs were experiencing irritation. Melinda Daigle was a 7. Now it's a 4. You know what? My merchant account was canceled. And you know what they said? In order to bring it back, you have to take any inference on your website that you can improve people's health. And then they'll give me my merchant account, Visa, MasterCard, that kind of stuff. So I still have a merchant account, but I had 2. And they canceled it because I say that people can improve their health. That should tell you what's going on, folks. All right. And I'm shadow banned on Facebook. Now I got 3 accounts on Facebook and many pages because one of them shadow banned. I get 10 people see it. And so my picture of me with Richard Bandler today, you'll see on my Facebook page. Cindy Murphy felt good and then became very hot. Well, that's how your unique energy body works, and everyone's unique. So you're not a product from a factory. You're not a replica. You're not a Ford Bronco where they just manufacture one after the other identical. You are a unique soul, unique energy body with a unique set of experiences. And so don't ever expect that you're going to feel like the other person. That would be incorrect and lower consciousness, unaware of just what is so unique about you, Cindy. And thank you for sharing. Michelle Gilstrap, heaviness left her spine. That often happens with higher energy. And with you, it happened quickly. Some people, it takes a strong, powerful hour or hour and a half session like we do in Self-Healing Mastery Plus. Juzzy Jingles, beautiful Australian nurse. Felt and saw circle energy. Yes, was awesome. Nice to see you, Juzzy. Daniel Weber, ankle, 3-1. Great work, Daniel. Big start. Russell Nolan, feet feel better. Beautiful. Fatai was having trouble visualizing, but feel a little lighter. And Fatai, anytime, mind on 4%. Anytime someone says, I feel a little better, but not much, they're thinking. And here's what you got to understand. Like Al Mind Force method, he's all about this mind and mind power, and he's really good at it. And if you want to learn more about that, I absolutely recommend you go to his website and see what he teaches. Now, the mind is a defense mechanism. So when you're afraid, your mind is on. Mm-hmm. When you're laughing and smiling and your mind's off, it's because you're safe, comfortable, and happy. Isn't that right?
Yep, that's it.
So when you bring yourself to a state of peace and emptiness, I'm saying get happy. All right. You go to this empty space, which you can go to anytime. And it doesn't matter if you're in the middle of a railway station, middle of a protest, middle of an airport. No one can rob you from getting still and doing that, what we call love expansion method. And that's available free on YouTube. You can pass that around to anyone you want. There's no charge. That's my contribution to the world. And I'll tell you, if the world did that, we would have a much better place. And one of my clients, Peter Sage, he had to go to prison for some kind of business dealings that went south. And he wrote a book called The Inside Track. When he was in prison, he had worked with me before. And so he knew these energy methods. So in prison, he was practicing them massively. And he mentions me in his book, which I'm honored. And he raised the energy in that prison. You can raise it anywhere. You're connected to infinite love. And literally the warden sent him a letter after, noting how much different, how much worse it got after he left. Yeah, this is what happens. And you can do this anywhere. All right, let's see what other comments we have. Colleen Holland. High vibrational, pure love, right eye pain, 3, now it's an 8. Oh, that's wonderful. Hands pulsating, feeling wonderful. Blake Chin, felt my heart or soul differently than before. Also became aware of my mind's involvement. Yeah, Blake, that's mine. Kevin Greasy, related to the quarterback Bob Greasy by chance, could feel the energy in my hands and shoulder. Oshansi Dharma, excellent confirmation. I was trying to heal my heart yesterday. Thanks for the boost. And the heart is the biggest. So, and that's where oftentimes we go into our head because we don't want to feel the pain in our heart because of conflict or sadness or whatever. Brilliant man, Ken Rothenberg from Buffalo, an engineer. Nice to see you again, Kier. Much more awake and calm. Chris is so cute. Crown chakra is brighter with no hair. Yeah, you should try it, Chris. It works. You know, you comb it with your fingers too. On combs. Blake Chin, I was coughing a lot. Well, coughing is a way for your body to release toxins, Blake. So that's a really good sign. Just like tears is a way to release toxins. Some people go into laughing fits. Okay, this is how your body releases when you start shaking things up. And Lou Peter Luama, you're welcome. Lou, Jim Zakaria, great haircut. Loosened up my neck and shoulder. Yeah. Mel Grandelis. I connect so much more easily when I hear your voice. Well, I'm honored, Mel. And Mel and I worked together a few years ago and had the honor to meet her in person in the Philippines. So, Mel, when we have great teachers or people that have led us out of the dark, whether it's Auntie May or somebody else, I'm happy to be that person for you. It's their certainty, their connection, which if we're a little fragile at times, and we've all been there, myself included, that steady, strong voice is sometimes so relieving, so clarifying. And look, today when I saw Richard Bandler, and I hadn't seen him in person for 30 years, and this man teaches you how and demonstrates and programs you with hypnosis to go beyond and create things that are incredible and not get stuck by quote unquote the status quo and what the common traditional belief is. And he is just so brilliant at it. And I'm so thankful for him and his great wisdom, and John and Kathy Laval for putting on his seminars. Okay, so Al, what did you feel in that exercise?
I felt the combination of everyone's energy circulating around, because I could feel it as I have my palm up and my palm down. I could feel that energy circulating. So it felt really good. It feels really good when you get a room full of people that have the right energy, and they're using that love. It's great. It felt wonderful.
Right. So for those of you who want to learn more, healinggenius.com, we have upcoming events, and I have an upcoming event at the end of July in about a week, and the beginning of August. And that'll be purely me teaching, demonstrating, and giving you opportunities to learn more. So that's on healinggenius.com, upcoming events. And as well, some of you know that I'm the inventor of something called Reading Genius. How many here have seen or heard about Reading Genius? Let me see some yes. Let me see how many yeses we get here. Let me share what Reading Genius is. And by the way, these films are films from my seminars back in the 90s. Okay, you're going to see pictures of me in the 90s. And I know you're going to say I haven't changed a bit, but let's just take a look.
Never before shown on television, these are actual students using the reading. Never before shown on television, these are actual students using the Reading Genius method. In just a few short hours, they learn to read, remember, and comprehend far better and faster than ever seen before. It's the planet's most powerful reading system, created by its inventor, Ed Strachar. Ed's background originates as a scientist, inventing a computer chip that was used in aerospace by the US, NATO, and even NASA. He studied chess with the grandmasters in the former Soviet Union. Chess, just like reading, is a purely mental activity. Ed has taught Reading Genius at major corporations and has been invited and proudly served as a guest instructor at such prestigious schools as West Point and the U.S. Air Force Academy, where it's documented that students reported reading in excess of 40 pages per minute with good comprehension.
40 pages a minute, folks. Yes, with good comprehension. Average person reads half a page a minute.
Ed has appeared on radio and TV many times and in many countries.
Kind of like driving a car at 100 miles an hour versus driving a car at 10 miles an hour. At 100 miles an hour, you're more attentive, more focused, probably remember it better. Most people are more excited. At 10 miles an hour, just aging.
Thousands around the globe, people of all ages, from Europe to Asia and Australia, have successfully learned this incredible method.
My name's Josephine Griffith, and I'm a manager in the health and safety area. I found it really exciting, and now I don't have any limitations on my mind. I just wish it was available to everybody to do.
Normally you get something like, okay, I read a book and daydreaming alone, but now you're so focused because you don't have time to think of anything else that the book will give you more than ever before.
I have found ways to get rid of those negative voices and Ed's positive reinforcement and reteaching some of the basic concepts really helped a lot. So I got to the point now where I was reading about 25 pages per minute.
I'm reading Crime and Prejudice, which is about old-fashioned people. And when I usually read books like that, I seem to stumble and I can get bored because it's not that way. It's much easier to do that.
Turn on your brain power to where you use the other 90 or 95%. I'm going to show you how to turn that on.
I thought it seemed like as though there was a part of my brain that hadn't been exercised for a long time, and that something happened to make that part of my brain function. I also discovered that I was completely cured of my daydreaming, which has been one of my problems lately, to be reading something and then daydream and kind of forget what you've read.
Your eyes naturally see a big picture. You look out a window, you see the whole picture, don't you? Anyone here take a speed reading book?
Let me take this figure. You know, you learn to do this across a page. Let me ask you this. When you look out the window, if you go like this, do you understand it better? Unnatural process.
I have to admit that when I was first approached by Ed, I was pretty skeptical that some of the claims he was making could actually work. But I decided to try it, and I went into it with the belief that, in fact, it would work because I really needed it. I felt a little frustrated because some of the methods were pretty unorthodox, but Ed explains that as he goes along that you really need to do that to break down some of the old habits. And somewhere about 2/3 into the program, all of a sudden something clicked with me, and I was starting to read books at about, I was reading a third of a page at a time, not word by word, but it was just popping into my brain. Once that happened, I just felt, this is great.
Okay. How many want to learn more about Reading Genius and go through books in 10, 15, 20 minutes? My godson, Eddie, reads a book 3 times, 45 minutes, mind maps it, and writes a report, 45 minutes. He does a book a night, a few nights a week. We pulled him out of school. He just reads. And if you really think about it, the best universities, Al, 90% of universities are where they tell you what books to read and then test you. And if you don't pass the test, you got to pay again and read them again and pass. So go to readinggenius.com and sign up for upcoming events. Okay. And you'll see September 7th, I am launching Reading Genius 3.0. This is version 3. What you see there is me teaching in the 90s. And yes, I taught at West Point, Air Force Academy, corporations around the planet. And I'll be offering a seminar, live seminar in Cancun, Mexico at the end of October. So lots of exciting things to do. And now, knowing what I know about Healing Genius, and I'm going to be able to apply it to Reading Genius is just going to take off to another level because we'll be able to apply the energy principles, which I did not know back then. I thought I knew some healing, but I knew what I call 4th or 5th dimensional healing techniques, the Reikis and theta healing. And those are very lower dimensional, low power. They still can feel good if they're done by a good person, but they're not going to remove heavy sorcery and the powerful things that now I do with Healing Genius. How many would like to learn how to heal others? All right. Anyone? But yes, I want to learn to heal others, right? If that's what you want to do. Well, in August, I'm teaching something called Healing Genius Protege. And that is where you will learn to heal others and things like purifying tap water, removing ghosts from houses, removing energies from yourself and others. And that's what's coming. Yeah, and we got our first spammer. There we go. I was waiting. It took you long enough. Yeah, well, Bonnie, pay attention. Come April Redbird, go to the healinggenius.com and sign up for upcoming events. Thank you, Lucille, my great assistant, for blocking that spammer. I wonder what took him so long. They're getting lazy, Al. Cindy, don't try to heal the world. You just got to heal yourself. Okay. Don't try to heal the world. But Rumi has a great quote. Yesterday I was ambitious and wanted to heal the world. Today I'm wise. I just want to heal myself. All right. There's a lot of wisdom there. Let me save you the trouble, Cindy. Norma, everything requires investment. As simple as that. She says, I want to learn, but the price is very high. No, the price is very cheap. Not knowing these things are very expensive. And it's up to you to make this happen. Simple as that. And I tell people, most people, Al, they say, you're not your typical healer. And I'm not. You want sympathy? Get a dog. Okay. This is your life, your responsibility, and you need to make these things happen. And if you're powerful enough to be wanting to help others and heal the world, then you gotta be powerful enough to make this happen. Everything requires investment and effort. There's no exception. Mel Grandelis, Melinda Doggle, wonderful. Okay, so Al, What would you say? And you've got a lot of clientele. You've been teaching what you've been teaching for 20 plus years.
Mhm.
Now, how do you talk to your clients who maybe know some of your martial arts skills, your mental abilities, and so forth? And now you're going to explain what you learned at these higher dimensions, which come from the heart instead of the mind. What do you say to them?
I think it's really a combination of all these techniques integrate, right? They integrate at different levels, right? You've taught me things that are helping me to integrate at a different level than what I've done certain things for. That doesn't invalidate, other training that you're doing. And the same thing with anyone on the call that's done things like Reiki and different modalities. They all integrate, and you can all use them within your system to get better results, right? It's really a matter of the path you want to go on. I started my path on that martial side, whereas a lot of people started on the healing side. I wasn't really in that mode for the longest time because I was more into some of the other things, the performance and energy, and getting into like the esoteric meditations, astral projections, and things like that. So yeah.
No, that's right. So what I appreciate about you, you understand everything's energy. You were operating at a different sphere, and now we connected, and I understood more about what you do, and vice versa. That's great. How many here would like to see what's possible? I applied the healing genius methods to a doctor with stage 4 cancer. How many would like to see what that looks like? 3-minute, not even 3-minute video. See what's possible when you do these things. And then you'll realize why they're trying to turn off my merchant account and everything else. And it's illegal to use the word cures, so I ain't using the word cures, and so on. But, this is really what's possible. And they don't like when people can do these things. So have a look. And brace yourself, because this is going to challenge. How many here believe anything's possible, right? This video will challenge that. Have a look.
Feel like that tired. Today is a bad day, really. I have my third chemotherapy, and it drains my energy. It's slow.
Christian, really nice to see you. How are you feeling? How are you doing? Tell us.
I'm feeling much better, and you saved my life. You literally saved my life. I realized that the moment when you turned into my life, and when we started to work with each other, the healing started to come within, like we heard before. And from there on, it's an incredible spiritual.
Okay. Comments on that video. So Al, that's just what I said, removing the dark energies and restoring the soul. And when the soul is energized, the organs are energized, the immunity system gets energized, and often can heal itself. Right? That's what's fascinating. And there are forces, very powerful forces, that do not want you to know how to heal yourself. do not want you to read books in 10 or 15 minutes. They don't. They want to keep you stupid, and they're going to use religion, school, the medical system, TV, the news, anything they can, and even I'll inject you with quote unquote peach ice cream. You know what I mean?
Stay away from the peach ice cream.
Say it because the AI bots. Oh, we got more spammers. Oh, great job. We blocked you and then you came on another. Well, aren't they incredibly intelligent? What does it take to be such a low vibrational human being that you would try to go on someone else's podcast and advertise porn? Raise your vibrations, dear soul. Raise them. Joe Magnan is beautiful. Daniel Weber. Wow. Daniel, go to healinggenius.com or even my YouTube channel, Healing Genius, to see many videos like this. Yeah, Cindy Murphy, you have been lied to your entire life. Okay. And Lucille, help me. I accidentally blocked Daniel Weber when I tried to block the spammer. So unblock Daniel Weber, please. Yeah, and then you realize about the earth form. Then you realize the truth about the moon. You realize why witches worship the moon. You realize why the moon doesn't rotate. I'll explain all of this in the upcoming events. But folks, let me tell you, it just ain't like they told us it was. And the biggest authorities with the deepest voices, with the biggest cameras on them, lie to you with a really straight face. So, Al, any closing comments that you want to share with the audience?
That the energy is real, and that it really is something that you need to cultivate and build up and create that vibration and have that attitude of euphoric, blissful, loving energy, because that's what's going to make your life better from all aspects, whether it's healing physically, mentally, emotionally. It is the most powerful force that's out there for sure.
Yes, it is. And my dearest authority, oh, wow, the spammers are back. Aren't they clever? Folks, I've got this great assistant, Lucille. Lucille, if you can get Daniel Weber unblocked, please do so. Now, a lot of people ask me, how do you prepare for doing these speeches? I've got a secret. And I kind of feel compelled to share with the audience this secret. And, it's what helps me when, before I speak, sometimes a lot of things are going on, getting a lot of trouble. And this thing just does it. So I'm going to show you that secret if I get 30 yeses, because this is the ultimate secret. If you're ever going to perform or go on stage or greet people or even just work and family, something like this could really change. And this is a very powerful method that my dear assistant Lucille in the Philippines, someone who I worked in person with for over 5 years. Okay, so I'm going to share it with you. It's going to shock you. Okay, I don't want any bad letters. Just brace yourself. So here it is.
And you will, so everything's gonna be okay. Bye.
There we go. That's my secret. And before I go live, that's what I do. That's what I watch. And my whole body starts tingling. And the magic of life, the magic of children. And she, to me, is just the cutest thing on planet Earth. And that's the daughter of my great assistant, Lucille, who helped me set this up. And I use that weapon on Al because he's a pretty cerebral, overthinker, and it got him smiling.
Exactly.
So with that, much love to you all. Thank you for coming. I'll see you possibly on both the Reading Genius Unveiling, September 7th. You have to sign up for that at readinggenius.com. And the Healing Genius upcoming events. You want to learn how to heal yourself. You want to learn how to heal others. You want to get rid of dark energy. That's where you're going to have a chance to learn these things. All right. Beautiful souls. Thank you. Al Perhacs. Al Perhacs, thank you so much for coming on. Really an honor. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. You want to learn more about Al, folks, go to mindforcemethod.com. I make nothing from that. Go and learn from what this master knows. We all have much to learn in many areas. And when I meet a master like Al or like Richard Bandler, I am so excited because masters explain it simply. So Karen Trapp, Russell Nolan, Cindy Murphy, Nancy London, Scott McPhillip, Catherine Singer, Jim Zakaria, and everybody else. Thank you so much for coming.
So long,
Take
everyone.
Care. Al, thank you.
Thank you.
Take
My
care.
pleasure. All right.
And if you want a note on Al Arise hairstylist and you want to get, we sell that.
That's right. We do. It's not cheap though. It's not cheap.